everybody, my name is Josh Castleberry. I am owner and operator of Castle Coffee in downtown Albuquerque. Today is another part of our brew series that we've been doing, and today is actually we're going to be doing the Aeropress. The Aeropress is a really cool brew method that is almost indestructible. When I go camping or usually when I travel, I'll take an Aeropress just because it's made out of plastic and it's really easy to take with you. It is possible to actually brew without like a scale and everything, so it makes it really easy to kind of brew everything with the numbers that are on there and everything. But we still use a scale. Even when I travel, I'll use a scale. But it is one of those brew methods that kind of is all-inclusive if you want it to be. But it's really nice for camping because you can take it anywhere, put it in your backpack, kind of throw it in there, and it's not going to break because it's made with a really durable plastic. But the Aeropress is really good for kind of smaller amounts of coffee. It makes about 8 ounces in our recipe. There are some recipes that will you'll make like a really thick concentrate, and then you just add water to that to bring it up to 12 ounces. But we just found that the best flavor and best kind of flavor profile that we get is from just brewing it as an 8 ounce cup of coffee. So today, if you find yourself with an Aeropress or you want to upgrade, this is a really good recipe that we found and tried and really, really like. So kind of what we're going to start with is your main tools that you'll need. You'll need a burr grinder. It can be handheld, electric, whatever. Just try to make sure it's a burr grinder if you can. If you do have a blade grinder, it is doable, but I would recommend if you have one thing that you would like to upgrade, I would recommend getting a burr grinder. It just evenly grinds those beans to a consistent particle size. The other thing is going to be a kettle. We are using a gooseneck kettle for this method, but again, this is one of those methods that if you don't have a gooseneck kettle, you don't actually need one because you're just kind of pouring a lot of coffee into the brewer at once, so you don't need that steady flow rate. But either or works. Today we are using the gooseneck kettle, and then you'll just need your coffee, your cup, and then like I said, what we use is a scale. You don't have to, but if you want to follow our recipe, a scale is super, super helpful and necessary in our case. But so what we're going to start off doing is you're actually going to take your cap here and you're going to take your paper filter and you're going to put it in there like that, and you're going to take your water and you're going to pre-wet that filter just to get all that the paper flavor out of there as much as possible. And so you're going to want to kind of get all that water drained out, and then you're going to dump that water, and you're just going to kind of set this aside for now. What we do is called an inverted Aeropress method. So most of our brewing is going to be done in the actual brewer. What you're going to do is you're going to take your plunger and you're going to barely place it in the top to where it's just creating enough suction that water won't seep underneath and drip out. You're going to put it in just in the tip there, and then place your whole brewer upside down on the actual scale when it's time to brew. And so today we're going to be brewing our washed Ethiopia. You can find it in our shop or online if you don't live in Albuquerque. And this one's it's a really good full immersion brew method. It does taste good in pour over as well, but I really like how this tastes in like Aeropress, French press, the Clever Dripper, any of those full immersion brewers. This washed Ethiopia is so good and flavorful. Really been loving how it's turning out. For your grind size, it's going to be a medium fine, but I tend to like ours on the finer side. And we're doing a 1:13 brew ratio. So we're doing 18 grams in, 230 grams out. 230 grams is that full 8 ounce cup they were talking about earlier, as opposed to our other brew videos. If you watch, we do 360 grams, which is a full 12 ounce cup. So again, because of the brew, because of the brewer itself, and how big the brew chamber is, it calls for about an 8 ounce cup of coffee. So we're doing a 1:13, 18 grams measured in, 230 grams out. So we're gonna grind the coffee at that more fine grind setting. It's not gonna be fine like espresso fine by any means. And it's gonna be probably around the pour over fineness, maybe a little coarser. But for this method, we're gonna go a little finer on that end. And then, if you're doing this at home and you taste the final cup and you taste some things in there that might not be super enjoyable, maybe then try adjusting the grind setting from there and working from that point. But for today, we're going to go a little finer on the grind. So So I'm zeroing out my scale, putting my Aeropress on the scale in the inverted method or inverted way. And I'm gonna take my coffee and I'm gonna pour 18 grams in just into the brewer just like that. And once I get 18 grams in, then I'm gonna kind of shake the brewer here just to get it level. So you just want it all to be at the bottom right there in a level fashion. So when I pour the water, it's getting evenly extracted. So I'm gonna zero out my scale again. I'm gonna take my water kettle and I'm going to start the timer and I'm gonna pour till it reaches about 50 grams and we're gonna let it sit for about 30 seconds. So this is gonna be called the bloom. We're gonna let all the gas, we're gonna let the coffee kind of degas, and it's really gonna have all of the, like it's gonna be really kind of fragrant. There's gonna be a lot of fragrance coming out of here, a lot of aromas. It's really nice. I love to kind of smell the bloom. In any brew method, when you start pouring the coffee, you get a really nice fragrance that kind of gives you an idea of what the final cup is going to smell and kind of taste like. So I'm doing 50 grams. And you're gonna wait 30 seconds for this bloom to happen. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill this thing all the way up to the top, which is gonna be that 230 grams. You are gonna get pretty close to the top, but trust me, you'll make it. 230 grams is the whole brewer here. So that 30 seconds, I'm just gonna pour and pour just in circles. I'm just trying to get as much of those beans saturated and agitated as possible until I reach 230 grams. Like I said, you're gonna get close to the top, but I promise you, you will make it. $230. And then what I'm gonna do is, included in your Aeropress is a little paddle here, and that's for stirring. I do like to stir the inside of this and just kind of give it a little swirl, just to make sure that all of the coffee gets agitated enough for complete extraction, which will affect your final cup. So once I do that, you don't really need to hit any time marks except for the bloom for 30 seconds, and then the final plunge, which for our recipe we flip it upside down and start plunging around 2 minutes and 15 seconds. So your pour kind of flow rate and speed doesn't really matter after the bloom, and I just mean that in terms of the other like pour overs and stuff. You have to like hit, like you want to be at this grammage at this time more consistently. For these kinds of brew methods, you don't really need that, so we kind of just pour and wait. And so we're gonna let this sit till about 2 minutes and 15 seconds to when when I get close to that time, I'm gonna take this cap that we pre-wet, usually around like 210 maybe. I'll put the cap on. So we're at 210. I'm gonna flip that, close that in, and I'm gonna take my whole brewer. I'm gonna flip it upside down onto my cup, and I'm gonna push down at a very steady kind of like force. I don't wanna just shove it down as quick as I can. I do wanna kind of control my brew timing to where I'm finishing around 2 minutes and 35 seconds, anywhere from 235 to like 240. And so I'm actually almost perfectly hitting that time now. And you'll hear kind of like a whooshing noise. I don't know if you can hear that on the mic, but that's when you know that you've hit the bottom of your puck. And you're just gonna kind of give the brewer a little wiggle here to get all that kind of coffee water that's stuck in the cap. And then you can literally just take off your cap and then pop the puck into the trash. And then you have your 8 ounces of coffee. This is what we call a full immersion brew method. So it's gonna have a lot of body, a lot of flavor. And in your final cup, when you taste it, if it does taste too strong, these are kind of the things that you can adjust right away if the coffee itself is not tasting at like right up to what you're hoping it will. If it's really strong, you taste it and you're like, this is way too thick, then all you have to do is adjust the ratio. So just take less coffee out when you do your initial grinding. Just make sure that ratio is lighter, and then make a note of that and make sure that you repeat that. And what that entails is we do a 1:13 ratio, so 1 gram of coffee to 13 grams of water. All you do is you take your ratio and go 1:14, 1:15, 1:16, taking that final 230 grams dividing it by that number, and then that's how much you know to put into your coffee. I know that's a little confusing, but to make that make a little more sense, our 1 in 13, you take that 230 grams, which is the 8 ounces, divide it by 13, which is our ratio, and that equals 18 grams. So that's how I knew how to put 18 grams in here. All you have to do is up that a little bit. So take 230, divided by 14, divided by 15, divided by 16, whatever you're feeling, and then that number is how much coffee you're going to put in here. And so on the other end of things, if you taste it and it's way too light, you want more coffee, then you just go the other direction. So you go 1 in 12, 1 in 11, and that will help you get to the strength in your mouthfeel of what you like. And then from there, you can adjust grind setting. If when you plunge, you feel like you're plunging way too fast, even though you're trying to control it, you feel like there's no resistance, your grind might be a little too coarse. So you might want to fine that up a little bit. And then on the other side of things, if your grind is too fine, and you really, even though you're trying to control that plunge, if it's really hard and you feel a lot of resistance, your grind might be too fine, and so you need to coarsen that up a little bit. And those are kind of the easy, kind of quick fixes. If your very first brew is not exactly what you were hoping for, or there's something a little off, try those fixes and see if your final cup is what you were hoping for. But yeah, this is kind of what we have liked. The 1 in 13, especially with the Swash Ethiopia, is so good. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have any questions at all, please just email us, castlecoffeecoabq@gmail.com, DM us on Instagram, contact us via our website. We'd love to help, and even comments on our YouTube channel as well. If you guys have any questions, or if you tried it and you really liked it, let us know. We would love to help you out in any way. So we'll see you guys next time. Appreciate you so much.